Hi everyone, I'm Madeline Park, stylist and vintage fashion hound. I believe everything has a story, whether it be clothes or the people that wear them. For season 2 of Style Stories, I want to get out of the house, but find a place where I still felt at home, like Lucio's, the iconic Italian restaurant known for its colour and charm. My guests tip their hat to Lucio's by seasoning their stories with a taste of art, food and family, but always bringing to the table their unique sense of style. Today I'm chatting to Evi O, award-winning book designer and self-taught artist. Originally from Indonesia, Evi cut her teeth in design in the Sydney food publishing world, gaining a reputation for her clean-cut aesthetic and balanced designs. She creates the kind of work that makes you smile, and it's this sense of ease and joy that she brings to her personal style, preferring effortless pieces and pared-back colour palettes. Hi, Evi.
Hello.
Thanks for joining me today. When I was looking for people to come into season 2, I came across your beautiful work, and unbeknownst to me at the time, we knew a lot of the same people and have worked with a few of the same people, including Bryony Fitzgerald, who is also another guest of season 2. But in kind of getting to know a bit about who you are, I could quickly see that you were a girl of my own heart. And one of the things that kind of struck me as something that we would connect with is the fact that you're very close to your grandmother, and she's been a big inspiration for you, and that you're her favourite. As I was with my grandmother,
Excellent.
who's since passed. But I could connect with you on that without even meeting you. So starting off, what I want to know is how did your grandmother influence you and your creativity as a kid?
Well, Grandma was born in 1929 in Indonesia in a town called Pasuruan, I think. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, somewhere in East Java, really small town, quite poor family. And she was born under Dutch colonial times before it went into Japanese colonial time, English colonial time before Independence Day, and Indonesia became its own country. And then there's also all this civil unrest throughout her life, and I thought she's the first of 5.
Mm-hmm.
So she went to Dutch school, loved it, but then she had to stop going to school because she had to help the family work.
Right.
That's also because my grandpa passed away quite young.
Right.
So I guess from a young age she's been through a lot.
Mm.
And she's gone through a lot in her life as well. Like my grandpa passed away quite young as well. She's got 4 children. She ran a business, a really funny fashion shop in Pasuruan.
There you go. I didn't know that.
Well, there you go. But she's gone through so much, but she is the most happy person.
Right.
Like the most positive person that I know. And she will be, usually you grew up and you have, this is your favorite aunt or uncle because, they let you be naughty.
Yeah.
Grandma was that for me.
Right,
And,
okay.
I was the only granddaughter for her for a while. So I have a cousin, a boy, and then another cousin, a boy as well. And then my brother came, and then Nadia, the youngest one in the whole my Oma, that's what I call my grandma's clan, arrived. But I guess we bonded as 2 women or 2 girls. I don't think she's a woman or a lady. She's totally a girl. We bonded even though we went through different things. And I think throughout my life, especially with milestone time, say, choosing what to study at uni, or even, I don't know, choosing the right shoes or something, she would be the one that's always follow your heart, do whatever you want, you gotta be happy. And, and I knew she was special since day one, but being at my age now, I'm 34 by the way, I'm oh my goodness, she knew so much and she hasn't changed, and I don't know, her outlook of life is not time related or traditional adult, because you know Indonesia is quite a traditional country, and my parents are like, oh, let's not go there. But yeah, so I guess that's why I guess grandma is such an inspiration because of the way she looks at life.
Yeah. And so, and it's funny because often your artwork and your design work is considered playful and happy. Were you like a cheeky, happy little kid, or were you introverted and that kind of came out later?
Yeah, I would say I'm an extrovert, introvert when I was young. Like I guess like I've always, you know, I have a happy childhood. Like there's nothing bad I could say about, you know, my childhood or my past. I guess I was always cheeky. Like I'm always like I'm still very stubborn, but yeah, like I was always stubborn. Like the famous family story would be like me I was 3 years old apparently, and I was putting on a hunger strike because mom wouldn't let me wear jeans. She wanted me in a dress, and I'm like, nah, not gonna eat, not gonna move. And apparently my face turned pale, and everyone freaked out. And
Yeah. So you went by that. So hunger for fashion, hey?
Hunger for fashion. Yeah. See, I told you, started early. But yeah, and then I guess teenage time, you know, I just became a bit quieter.
Right.
And then I don't know, I just blossomed into noisy person, I guess.
So was the jeans hunger strike your kind of first memory of a relationship to fashion, or it's?
Yeah, and I know I might just be making this up, but it could also be maybe a stance on feminism, like the whole, you know, being a boy or being a girl is such a thing in Indonesia. I'm not sure about Australia. I'm sure there is that on a degree, but like over there it's like girls wear dresses, boys wear pants, girls play with dolls, boys play with trucks, like the same thing. But I think I hung out a lot with boys when I was I still do now.
Yeah.
And I was a real tomboy. Short hair and all that. And I guess I was like, why do I have to wear a dress? Because I'm a girl? Nah. Yeah. I know, really cheeky.
Yeah.
But I think grandma kind of told me that like, why do you have to think that you're different?
Yeah. So she was a progressive thinker.
And she treated all her children and grandchildren the same.
Yeah.
Well, not me, because I'm her favorite.
Yeah.
Obviously, I got the special treatments.
I was the only girl in the list of grandchildren as well. And my grandmother, like yours, had kind of gone through a lot. She'd left an island in Greece like that was war-torn and kind of came out on a boat on her own. And but I already love your Uma, knowing that I like just knowing my relationship with my grandmother and just how special those women are. So in terms of your creativity as a kid, when were you kind of showing outlets for being creative, and how did that express itself in you?
I guess I was always attracted to drawing, even though I'm not a good drawer. I'm still not a good drawer now, but yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe Oma did tell me all that like we used to make little paper boats and we would create stories, and she actually was the first person who pushed me to study another language, English, by giving me her books.
Right.
And some of them probably were too adult for me, but she didn't care anyway. She's like, just read this.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. And so, when did you come to Australia? Did you come to study or?
So 2003, I was 17. I was at my final year of school, like in Indo. But in Indo, you had to choose a stream of 3, like science, social, or art.
Right.
Obviously, I wanted to do art, and my parents were like, "No way! Like you're smart enough to do science, so you got to take science." So I did, but I'm like, "Nah, I hate this." And in Indo, at the end of school, there is this like really scary exam.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to like spend another year like studying things I hate. I mean, I still love my school friends, but it's not enough for me to just like torture myself going to school and just learn about stuff I'm not interested in.
Were you still when you were at school? Were you still kind of hanging with the boys and, wearing your jeans and fairly androgynous in terms of how you dressed yourself?
I think someone was asking me this recently, like, oh, what would be your high school stereotype? And I'll be like, Queen of Misfits.
Yeah.
Because like you do have your close friends and your group of friends, but I was kind of like hanging with, not like closely, but like I sort of hang out with everyone for different reasons. Like I was in a band, I was the token guitarist girl.
Yeah.
And what else? I didn't do much sports because I'm really bad. That's another dream that got crushed really
What,
early.
music?
No, sports.
Oh, sports, sorry.
Because, I was like tomboy.
Yeah.
Boy. Nah, I'm shit at it. But music. So I was hanging with the boys. I guess there were not that many girl band people in my school. Still a tomboy. Still a tomboy now.
So when we were preparing for our interview, you were saying in terms of the styling piece, you were saying you don't mind a bit of a street look. Did that kind of start with, when in your music band playing days as a teenager, or is that just a fascination that's kind of grown?
Well, it's quite funny during that band era and actually early days of my time in Australia. So didn't finish school, was in a band and told mom I want to study art, and she's like, no way. I'm like, okay, I'll move to architecture. Maybe. She's like, yeah, cool. And then architecture turned into interior design, turned into graphic design.
Right.
But around that time and around early days of uni, I dressed really punk.
Right.
Like skinny bottom, sleeveless things, bit ripped here and there. Chains, still wear chains, different.
Well, the chain I picked out for you today is like a little bit street. It's transferable, but
And then you start getting a job and you can't look too punky, and you're like, well, just calm down a bit. Still wear blacks and all that all the time. But I guess I guess the style has changed, but it's a stream, I guess. Like I don't really, dress up big or like look very elegant most of the time.
So you went into graphic design through your studies, and that's when you came to Australia through your study.
Yeah, so studying in Australia has always been on the card.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's a bit of a trend back then. I still think it is probably now, in that like, as a middle class family, you in an Asian country like in Indonesia, you might want to send your children overseas so they could see, how different people and different culture works and all that. And that was exactly what they thought it is. They didn't really expect me to stay here and not come back. Yeah. Yeah, but so that was it. Yeah, studied design for 4 years at UTS. Yeah. And then got a job at Penguin Books. My one and only job, stayed there for 8.5 years, kind of doing, just learning what I can learn about publishing. And now, I don't know, I'm going rogue, just running my own thing, whatever this is.
So when you were at Penguin, I think it was one of your bosses that said to you, when you help design a book for an author, you become like their midwife and you help deliver their baby. How, in all the books that you've designed, how does each baby affect you or change you?
Well, with books, I guess. And I guess that's why working in book publishing is so addictive, in that every book you learn something new. Like whether it's, because it's always a new subject. Yeah. Even though like it's the same, 2 Italian cookbooks say, but one would have a different story to another, and the cooking style might be different or whatever. So I guess with the babies, how does it, what was the question again?
How does it change you, or just even the relationship with the author? It's obviously it becomes quite a profound relationship, in that you really have to get to know what they're trying to deliver.
Yes and no, because well, I am a midwife in the bookmaking, but also there are 10,000 other midwives that are also working in the process. And I think that's the thing. Yeah, you're right. Like a book, you might get close to an author by doing a book, but then you might also got close with an editor or a publisher. So it's every I don't know. It's I guess it's case by case, book by book. Because sometimes working with a publishing house, you might not even meet the author.
Yeah, right.
Yes, sometimes they like to keep things separate for whatever reasons, but really good stories come out of publishing, I guess. Like one of my best authors is Jessica Elliott Dennison, and
Right.
she's in Scotland.
Okay.
When the job came in, I was like, whoa, cool book, cool people, will be a nice book. Little did I know, she actually is best friends with a friend of mine, a friend of mine here in Sydney.
Oh,
And
right.
it turns out that it's kind of like our story.
Yes.
We know this same group of people.
Yeah.
And I met her for the first time at a friend's wedding earlier this year after 2.5 years. It's just like, the world is so small.
I know, it
yeah.
becomes, as I said, there's our little story of finding you and your artwork and knowing that it was recognisable and realising it's because I've seen it in Bryony's office, and then realising that you've then worked with Bryony and Robert Plum and Will Danga. It's and then Giuseppe, who's also working.
But I guess if there's something I want to say about book publishing is like life as an author is not that glamorous. Like book publishing as an industry is quite.
It's like fashion styling.
It's like fashion styling. You understand? Like
yes.
every day it becomes. I'm not saying it becomes smaller, but we're competing with other things in terms of forms of entertainment. So people in book publishing, they usually work. All people in book publishing, they work with heart.
Yes.
It's love first.
Yeah.
Everything else comes second, and that's why it's such a happy industry and it's such a welcoming and warm industry, because everyone loves what they do.
Yeah.
Even though they get paid, with clothing and trousers.
So you cut your teeth at Penguin, and you obviously worked on a lot of cookbooks. You've designed a lot of cookbooks, and you have a relationship to Lucio's, don't you? Do you want to just explain the connection?
Yeah, I was there when I didn't really work on the book, but I was in. Well, I worked for the division that created the book. It's a brand called Lantern. It's one of the imprint that Penguin Books have, and my ex-boss Julie Gibbs, which I still, I'm still so fond of her, and we still hang out. She basically published every single food people in Australia. She basically kind of started cookbook publishing in Australia, I would say.
Yeah.
When her first publication, Stephanie Alexander's Cook's Companion was out, it was Australia never had anything like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, like as a young person, young designer being thrown into that world of food luxury, your mind just blew. I mean, I'm so bad at the kitchen, but I'm such a good eater, and I've eaten so many good stuff because of the job I had at Penguin. And food is interesting. It's a language as well. I
wanted to get into that. So actually, I think Julie is doing a project with the Powerhouse Museum, and has recently interviewed Lucio for that project. But that was my next question is, working on all these cookbooks, have you become a chef within yourself?
No. It's always been a bit of an inside joke in the office back then. Still is now. That like, you design all these books, you ate really good food, but you can't cook, what the hell? And Julie's always like, I'm coming to your place one day, I'm gonna make you do this and that. It hasn't happened, but that's probably because I keep saying like, let's just do it at your place, because she's such an amazing cook, and I'm always fed well.
Was your grandmother a cook in your house?
She's really good, but my mom cooked for necessity.
Yes.
So it wasn't such a big thing in our family, I guess, cooking. But now I'll say like the past year, I've taken it up.
Yeah.
I have like a few repertoire that's like, I can perfect it now.
Is it more contemporary or like traditional to your family, or?
No, it's just food I like a bit of Italian, bit of Japanese, and that's it really. No, I'm not a good cook, not a chef, but I get that food as food is a language, and it's so true. Like there's so much history into making a dish. Even even now, I mean, it's not that we can go out now because of the situation, but like if I could choose now, I'd rather have someone cook for me, someone I know cook for me,
Yeah.
and feed me rather than going out. Even like I
Yeah.
find that more special.
Yeah, well, it definitely is a gesture. I enjoy cooking, and I do feel like when you're cooking for your family, and I guess this is something that my grandmother gave me, but you know, it is a gesture of love. And you know, I know that like I like to cook for my husband when he comes home from work because he works really long hours and he works really hard, and I feel like that's kind of my daily like love language. But it also, like anything, tells a story, you know, like especially like Lucio's, his menu tells a story. It tells a story of the seasons. It tells a story of his history. And so, and it I guess it's that thing that you're talking about in sense of a happiness. It's your way of being able to make somebody else happy. So, it's always lovely when someone cooks for you.
Yes.
In terms of storytelling, I know that you've said that good design offers storytelling to the reader.
Yes.
Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes, I guess. Okay, so depends. Well, I'm just trying to think of a good case study, like because I guess with design, people just think on a very surface level that it's just a visual happiness, like it just makes you happy, and or not makes you happy, but you know, like it makes things pretty, or like appealing and all that. It gains attention, but really, like if you look deeper into it, it's actually it's a study on, like, I guess, psychology in a lot of things, because like you got to understand what you're trying to communicate, and you try to communicate it through visuals. And a classic example is probably drawing a tomato or an apple, because like my art is quite abstract. The studio's design style is also sometimes quite abstract, and we would draw a shape, and it could be an apple or a tomato or a whatever, but then you see that and you see food. So I guess it's a bit hard to say, but even with like choosing a style of design or choosing a color palette and all that, you can evoke different feelings and hence, you know, different stories. And yeah, storytelling, it's all about the details, and we always try as designers to first, of course, like to make an appealing product, but also, you know, inject all this uniqueness that each client or each author has, and that's kind of like the joy of doing design, isn't it?
Yeah. So if that applies to design, what story do your clothes, what you wear, tell about you?
Well, I'm a very like lazy person in a lot of ways, and I dress. It has to be comfortable first. I think maybe it's like a little bit of a personal manifestation, isn't it? Like I go through. Well, I had gone through a few different styles. You know, when I was young, I dressed in black quite a lot. When I say young, it's like 17 years old.
Yeah.
It was quite funny. And then it stayed on for a bit, and then I went into this like really big love affair with colors, and I was wearing colors a lot. In terms of shape, they're always quite basic, I guess. Like, oh, not really. There were some crazy pieces. So I had that.
What's one of the crazy pieces?
This is probably one of the not so crazy colorful pieces, which is telling
still
a lot.
Muted though, like it's not.
But then it's like, it's like
reversible. Yeah, that's
so like
impressive.
Surprises.
Yeah,
I quite like them. Craftsmen, I quite like them. Like you know, like if it's like sewn well, cut well, made of good materials, like quality. I like wearing quality, I guess. So, personal and style. Yeah, and then now I'm back into like the whole monochromatic black and white kind of thing. And I don't know why. Is it just because I want to simplify my life? Like, you know, with life as well, you go through phases of exploration, I guess. And I guess, you know, I've explored color, and I thought like, I'm just going to go back to basic for a bit.
Yeah.
But then now I guess I'm more interested in shapes.
Yeah.
And get things really tailored to your size, because my size is a bit weird and it's really hard to find the right pieces.
I don't know that anybody's size or
Right?
shape is
Yeah.
not weird
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we're all
yeah, yeah.
human. So, there's no standard sizing. But getting back to colour, obviously your artwork and even your design work is kind of known for beautiful, bold colour palettes. How do you reconcile like your kind of monochromatic phase now
Yeah.
to the work that you're producing? What relationship do they have with each other, if any?
I guess maybe it is actually my resistance to keep working. No, I'm joking, but like maybe because there's so much color and there's so much happening in a day.
Yeah.
Like even sometimes I still get into that, like, oh, what am I gonna wear today? I have nothing in my wardrobe.
Yeah.
But maybe it is perhaps like a response to that, like like maybe that's like one less thing that I need to worry about, knowing that any top and any bottom in the wardrobe would work together.
Yeah.
So maybe it's that, like even like back to like choosing cuts and all that, like I know, oh yeah, high-waisted is probably my thing, so just buy high-waisted stuff and not buy anything else.
Yeah.
So I know like the short or long tops will always work. Like I know it sounds really boring and practical, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
Well, at least you've gone through a colourful phase.
And I still have colourful pieces in my wardrobe, although I'm thinking of a big wardrobe clear out.
Yeah.
soon,
What is there? Because in trying to find kind of styled images of yourself and to get my head around what your kind of vibe was before the interview and before the styling session, there wasn't much of you not just in pure black.
Yes,
And
exactly.
the only other colour that I could find you in was red. And so do you have an affinity for red? Is there a reason for that?
I have an affinity with blue since I was a child.
Oh yeah.
But that's not that, like, that really crazy electric blue.
Like a cobalt blue, like in the painting behind
exactly.
you. Yeah.
Doesn't always work on me.
Yeah.
Weirdly, red just looks good. But
Yeah.
you're right. I tend, I don't know why red stays. I think I do know why. It's a bit personal. Like I think, people in the past like red. But yeah, I never thought about it. But you're right. Even when I was pilfering my wardrobe, there's a lot of red.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, what is with this red thing? But maybe I do look good in
Is
red.
it? Sorry, you were saying it's a personal thing.
Perhaps. Like my ex really liked red, but I
Right.
don't think I was dressing for him or anything. It's just like it just happened. Like my favorite snake shirt is in red,
Yeah.
and I guess
But
red
if-
looks great with black
Yeah.
or with anything. It's kind of like a safe. I don't know. It's kind of like a general color. It's not black, I know.
Yeah.
But it kind of works with everything.
I think it's the
Neutral.
thing when if it suits you, it reinforces your joy with it. So because I actually was thinking about this question and thinking I was going to ask you it, and I haven't asked people about specific colours before, and I was thinking, how would I answer that question? And I have an affinity with blue, and there's a whole kind of back cupboard of reasons why that is, but one of the most base reasons is that it offers compliments to me. When I wear blue, people compliment me.
Yeah.
So at a very base level, that's kind of why it
So
reinforces
shallow. We just look
the
good in this
behaviour.
colour. Yeah.
But there's many more reasons for me. But it's and that's why you wear high-waisted pants. You wear you and I think there's something totally acceptable about choosing things that suit you.
Sorry, I'm just like I'm still thinking about the whole red thing as well.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, maybe red and blue, they kind of contrast but work so well together, and it's kind of like the studio color as well.
Yeah.
Although having said that, I don't dress to my studio color. I don't know.
Is it? Do you think it's that primary thing, like the primary colors?
It's just basic and it's bold, I guess.
Yeah. So another thing that I was thinking about in terms of looking at your aesthetic, if I had to describe you before meeting you and kind of getting to know you a bit, I would have described your aesthetic as a mix of street meets Japanese
Yeah.
cleanliness,
Yeah.
you know, and even in your artwork, I can see clean, neat lines that for me kind of echo a Japanese aesthetic. And you mentioned before that you influenced by something Japanese earlier in our conversation. You referenced Japanese food.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah. So is Japan a big kind of source of influence for you, aesthetically as well as in your work?
Yes, to a certain degree. Like I never really like back then. Japan was never a thing that I really wanted to go or explore or understand, because I just thought, no, everyone else loved Japan. Why would I need to go to Japan? I'll just go to India.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to go to India with me, because it was during that really chaotic time, and India was going through like really unusual time, and it was a bit dangerous for a young lady, said someone.
So that made you want to go.
No, and then I was just like dying for a holiday, and the other option was Japan, and I'm just like, I just really needed to escape. And I arrived there, and I'm like, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's a country that's full of history in terms of art and culture and design. And you just they just appreciate the little things. And I guess I realized it's, you know, they've got something. They've nailed simplicity, and nailing simplicity is actually very complex.
Yeah.
And that kind of taught me some stuff, I guess. Yeah, and I guess...
But it explains a lot in terms of both the way you dress and your creative work.
Exactly. Like, I think it looks like sometimes maybe my art looks lazy because it's just like 3 lines done. But, like, you know, like there's a lot of thoughts and process going through it that perhaps I don't want people to know, because I just want to present, this is the final piece.
Yeah.
If it makes you laugh or smile or be happy, the work's done, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I do love my Japanese designers because they fit me quite well.
Yeah.
They do good cuts and good materials.
Yeah. So now you've got your studio with your little band of girls.
Yeah.
And from what I can see, you are all kind of similar in terms of your aesthetic. Is that fair to say?
It is and not, because you probably have only seen our, you know, press photos.
Yeah,
where we
yeah.
try to dress like silly girl bands.
Yeah. You do look like a girl band.
It was intentional.
Yeah.
I guess we appreciate the same aesthetic, or I guess the same values in design. Like, you know, we all like simplicity, we all like colors, we all like system. So, you know, when you create books that are like really nerdy columns and all that, like we appreciate all those technicals.
Yeah.
But I think within each of us, there's like, you know, each band member brought different things to the band, and that's what makes the studio. And even though my name's on it, sometimes I feel like I really should change it, because it's not just me. But of course, like, I can't just change it because I don't know why. But it's quite funny. Let's go back to food, because it's actually a language that we use a lot in the studio.
Yeah.
Everyone except for me. So there are 4 of us. Me, Susan, who's been there since day one.
Yeah.
Nicole, and Kate, and Henry, the whippet. All of them, except for me and the whippet, can cook really well.
Okay.
So they
Is that why you hired them? So they can cook for you.
Yeah. No, but it is quite cute, because like you know, like come 11 a.m. they would just like chatter about, you know, what to eat, and then, you know, come 3 p.m. they're like, what will we have for dinner? What would you cook? And it's a constant thing.
Yeah.
And I guess it's quite funny, because it is such a normal thing and everyone does it, but it's such a culture, isn't it?
Right.
Food.
Yeah. And so
that's how
that kind of
people connect
binds
as
you
well.
all together. Yeah. And
Kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're
They still
designing
have their
cookbooks.
job. Yeah.
So you've got these girls in your studio, and you know, yes, the studio is named after you, but do you and you're what did you say? You're the chief Evi O?
Yeah, I tend to joke. We
I
tend
love
to
that.
joke a
It's
lot.
so
Yeah,
cute.
like, 'cause, okay, when I first started the studio, I never thought that, you know, I mean, I sort of had an inclination of growing,
Yeah.
but I never planned it because one, I'm most of the time scared of commitments,
Yeah.
and like I guess taking someone into your workplace and having to be responsible for them as a business owner is quite scary. I don't know, maybe I'm just a scared person, but anyway,
we're just talking about you being at the helm of it.
Yeah, and like I think when it was just me and Suzu, and then Nicole came, and the clients were they're confused. Who are they? Because in the beginning I was kind of like, let's not worry about titles, because it's true, everyone does everything. Like it's not like a company where you have assigned role and that's just what you do. Like everyone does design, but then everyone kind of chip in with anything they're interested in. Like for example, because I'm such a chaotic person and I have no system, Susan created system.
Right.
And like her title is a senior designer, but she also does other things, and Nicole does other things and all that, and Kate as well. But like the clients started to get confused, like who's who,
where do I go,
what's your title? They care about all that.
Yeah.
Whilst I don't, so that's why I'm like, well, if I have a title, what would it be? And I said to the kids, like, can I please be CEO? And it's like Chief Evi O.
Yeah.
And they're like,
perfect.
Sure, whatever.
So we've likened you to a midwife earlier in the conversation. Do you feel maternal to the studio and the girls? Do you feel protective of them? And
yeah, now I do. I think like in the beginning, I guess I was a child, and a child having a child just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And I guess like as the number grows as well, you realize you have to adult. As as the CEO, you can't just keep doing things the same way, because you do have. And I learned a lot. Like I had to fire people and all that, and it's not the first one or the second one, and it doesn't make it easier. And
no, it's never fun.
It's never fun. Or like even taking someone in, like you realize you have to be careful, because it's not just you, it's like other people as well. And I think I've made mistakes in the past that I'm not proud of and all that during running the business, but at the end of the day, I guess it's still your business and you're accountable for what happened there. And now I feel more than ever responsible. Doesn't adult me that much yet, but I think it will eventually, and it's learning for me too. And I think a lot of the reasons why I went from working from someone to freelancing to this is to, well, one, I get bored, but two, like it's actually learning in different ways through people. And I guess passing on what you know makes me feel really old, but it's good.
So speaking of getting older, do you imagine yourself like your Uma when you're 80 years old?
I think I probably would be, well, at the moment anyway, like I feel like I'm her version if she didn't have to fulfill all her social obligations. Exactly.
Yeah. And dress wise, when you're 80 years old, how do you think you'll be styling yourself?
It's probably the same thing. Hopefully, like my size.
High-waisted pants.
High-waisted pants.
Clean lens.
Long silver hair would be sweet.
Yeah.
Probably some wrinkles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a bit funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Probably the same shoes. I don't know. Maybe with a bit more like heel support.
Yeah.
And a cane.
Yeah. Still for comfort.
Still for comfort. Yeah.
All right, Evi, that's the end of our interview. But thank you so much for sharing your style story and for being part of Series 2.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. From a little girl, Evi's had strong ideas about her path, creating a hunger strike at the age of 3 because she wanted to wear jeans just like the boys. While this tomboyish streak continues to define her style, so does her tenacious attitude towards getting what she wants out of life. Empowered by the kindred spirit she's found in her grandmother, or Uma, Evi's desire to partake in and promote joy comes in all forms, whether it be sharing good food, creating clean designs in cheerful colours, or just wearing comfortable clothes. Either way, Evi leads the charge in following your heart, sharing your passion, and defining your style by simply loving what you do and keeping it happy.